What's up, studs? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Holy macaroni, we had a nasty one on Friday. The Friday Boogies came out and the market got smoked, and there was some very interesting things happening. So let's spend some time digging into what the catalyst was on why the market was tanking on Friday and what caused it, and then how we're going to play it into this coming week, as there's going to be some really awesome trading that's happening as the volatility is back, right? We were grinding for a little bit and now we're back. So first things first, right? AVGO took a big monster Cleveland steamer on its earnings. It was hot, right? And look, all of these AI stocks have been doing this post-earnings, so it's not like a huge deal. In our chat room, we shorted it at a 418. Like a loser, I covered it at 413 as it started to pop up a little bit. And then I literally went to make some coffee, and then boom, one of my students texted me. He's like, yo, it's at 380. And I was like, geez, right? But they've all been doing this, right? Like this is not, if you see like a lot of these stocks that popped up on earnings, they all like are fading off at some point, right? Even Microsoft, like, right, when it popped on its earnings, it faded off. And same thing, right? Like it's having news. And so we're just in this like kind of little bit of a distribution cycle on these AI stocks. If you really think about it, you know, AVGO's at the price it was on, right? 11/24, so on Thanksgiving. So it's not like the end of the world, but it was a big catalyst. Then there was a second piece of news out. So while this stock gapped down and then actually followed through, a second piece of news came out that from a news source that said Oracle was going to be delaying some of their data centers that they're building for OpenAI into 2028, and that was a monstrous, also piece of news. And so then the market really started to speed up, and we saw that, like, we were already drifting down, and then this stuff started coming out, and it was like, boo. Now look, the market recanted. Oracle said this is not like a fake news thing, but the market ran right into its VWAP and 50 SMA, and it just rolled right back over. So, I mean, I don't think the market was buying any of this, They've been doing this a lot, where it's like Microsoft did this a couple weeks ago where they had a piece of news out, and then they were like, no, that was fake news, right? And the market squeezed higher. So the market didn't buy it when Oracle, OpenAI said that's not the case. But this is a structural move that we need to be mindful of. The market is right at its 50-day moving average. In my life as a trader, I have noticed when the market is under the 50, it gets very volatile. You get a lot of gap downs, a lot of fake moves, and so you want to be careful. The volatility picks up when you get under the 50. So tomorrow is going to be a big thing. Do we start to drift lower, or do we hold here and remount, and then, Friday was just like a big fugazi, right? And that we've seen that quite a bit too. So we'll be watchful of this, but keep an eye on this. Like, the SPY got also hit right at all-time highs. And these news always come right when the market's about to break out, right? So it's only given back a couple days worth of gains. And that's why I say, like, we don't want to read too much into it. Yes, there was a lot of pieces of news coming out, but it's not the end of the world. Even the IWM is holding its breakout spot. And so I'm very curious if we get an entry on this. If we come back and retest this tomorrow, I'll be looking at maybe trying to get some calls and try to swing this thing back up. But, as you're retesting back into this, if it looks like the market is going to, break out. We don't know that for sure, but it looks to me like the lame 8 or mag 7s, lame 8s, or whatever you want to call them, they're correcting, right? In a kind of like a longer distribution cycle. And so we want to kind of move our love into some different names anyways, and we've been dying to trade some different stuff regardless. So let's take a look and see like what the heck we got to trade for this coming week. So a couple things. I thought both Rivian and Tesla look fantastic. Rivian really has a huge breakout in the works. So let's go to like a weekly chart here. It's got a huge breakout in the works here. Let me get rid of all these lines. It looks like I got it, right? A big penis fetish. But look at this thing, right? You're coming through this. Man, you got beautiful, beautiful action on this. Like, you just got, right, this, like, nice. It's, like, kind of grinding higher into this breakout. And we're right there, guys. Like, that's a great look. I think it'll start to speed up if it can hold 20, and then we'll kind of see what's up. But love the overall look of this. And frankly, Tesla is showing the same thing. Tesla had every opportunity to fade off and do a failed move. It spiked up huge. We added this in the chat room, like literally right at the open. Rode this thing up into the, into the push. And then, dude, I screwed up so bad. So as it came back down, I retested Thursday's low. We re-added, I think, 443, a little bit under. And, I kind of sold this thing right into this, and then I took off for the day. And I looked back, somebody texted me, like, dude, it's at 460. And I was like, what? Right? I don't trade in the afternoons anymore for the most part. I got a newborn at the house, right? I got to play with my kid a little bit. So, post noon, 12 p.m. to like 6, that's like, that's daddy time now. But this is looking fantastic. When you rip down like this and you completely rebound, so think about the range on this. You go from 448 to 463, 15 points, drop 22 points, and then pop 20 points. You got 50, 60 points of range back and forth in this. That's a good trading stock if I've ever seen one. But beyond that, it looks to me, if the market can hold, that a breakout could be coming into this. There's probably, there'll probably be some kind of weird news out at some point as it starts to approach on, autonomous driving or robots or who knows, right? But, that's how these things usually work. Great relative strength. I mean, this is top of the list if the market holds. Look, if the market gets smoked again and this breaks out, guys, there's a strong chance that breakout fails. So do not load the boat on a bunch of calls and hold through if the market is dumping. That will be a liquidity trap, so you want to be careful and look and see where the market is going before you come into this. Make it easy. This is actually just like a little bit of a wedge break. This is more for you swing traders out there. But this could be a good kind of IRA trade, especially if it starts to clear some of this. I think you'll have some significant, significantly slow upside, maybe to 350 or so over time. I do like this Lily. I've been stalking this one for a while. Great looking setup here. But if you look here, you got this flat top breakout. You came back, retested it, and, you're remounted into some good spots here. If you can kind of clear out this, I would say, 2-day range, the Thursday, Friday range, I think, so that's about 133.33. I think that'll be, that could be a little bit of a swing trade too. You could try doing the calls on this, but they're a little bit thin. Guys, gold is still holding up. It did reverse a little bit, and you got kind of this, solid candle on it. But I wouldn't. I think it's still going to break 400. The whole market got shook right on Friday, so that's going to happen sometimes. But this is still the structure of this is fantastic, especially with the way silver is going. Hey, old Zoom. If you look here, there's a weekly chart on Zoom. If it can break this, I'm looking at this for a potential swing trade. Once again, I will only be looking at this if the market is cooperating. I do not like to swing trade or add stocks at highs when the market is going through a distribution. And I think if we get a follow-through day tomorrow in the Qs, then that kind of takes swing trading off the table, unless you're doing mean reversion trades. So essentially how it works is if the QQQ is in a run-up phase, right? So you have 4 different phases of the market. But if the QQQs is in the run-up phase, then you want to be doing trend trading and momentum, right? Momentum stuff, momentum-based strategies. But if the QQQ goes into a distribution phase, then, if you're swinging, you really want to do crazy right? Mean reversion type trades, right? So that's like your rubber band. That's your rubber band type of trade. So I'll leave this alone if the market's getting smoked out. I don't want to be, holding stuff to the long side when the market's not cooperating. Google still needs some more time. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, if we need a short here, you're starting to build out a little bit of a bear flag in MSTR. Like, watch and see if we break down into these lows. I think this arm has a nice spot here right around, let's just call that 130. Let me get rid of all the other lines here. But like right around, 130, you got a little bit of a breakdown here. Ignore those two wicks over here. We'll just pretend like they never happened. And that's got a chance right there too. Chewy's got also a nice little breakdown spot here. Like it's starting to get in there. Ignore this wick here. And you're clearing out a lot of space on this. It hasn't participated in any of this market run. It's probably done so. GEV. Yeah, GEV is a good looker here. You kept up on this news and then, right, you're kind of retesting and fill this gap here. A little bit pricey stock, but that's okay. Like it's got 5 million shares in volume. And then look, Roblox has also got a bear flag on this right here. I won't chase these down. If it gaps down, I won't trade it. But if it opens up flat or something, I think that would be something worth taking. And then Sedig is also kind of rolling over here. Like you can see here, you got a decent spot right. I don't know. Sorry, I got a new mouse here in the office. I got a new mouse. I think they're right. You're right there. I think you're right there. I think that probably can be shorted too. It's not the most liquid name, and that would be my own main worry. Like you can't get crazy size on it, but if you're trading like 1, 2, 3,000 shares, I think it'll be fine. And then iron, dude, give me a small gap up tomorrow or a flat open and a takeout of this 40, and I think we're gonna have some fun on this one too. Everything else is a leave alone at the moment. Everything else is a leave alone at the moment. I would really probably stay away from besides Tesla, all these like kind of lame eights, like Apple's holding, but right, they're like all kind of in no man's land. You can see here, really like they're all in no man's land. I don't know if any of them got a big heat. So, NVIDIA does look like a bear flag, but, it tends to do the opposite of whatever you think. But if you look here and you squint you squint a little bit, you can see the remnants of, the head and shoulders kind of roll over pattern here. You can see it there. So, for me, this is a short, not a long. Like, I think that's a short setup if I've ever seen one. Same thing with AMD, we shredded these hard. We shredded these hard on Friday, but this to me is a bear flag. So if I need shorts, I'm going iron, AMD, NVIDIA, there's a whole host of these things. And then on the big caps, if you need a long, then Tesla, but only if the market's cooperating. If the market is dumping, do not buy Tesla at highs. Do not buy anything at highs and try to do breakout. You want to get a different type of entry, all right? Sorry for pounding the table on it, but I just want to make sure, because over the years, I've been teaching traders since, 2008. One thing I've always noticed, when the market shifts, where you go from that easy market to something that's got a little bit more, potholes in it, people tend to lose all their profits that they just made because they're trying to jam the same strategies, but in a market where those strategies have shifted. I think that's, that's something we got to always be aware of, right? What are the market cycles that we're in? All right. I love you guys. Peace.